Hi, and welcome to Noise Violation Podcast. Today, our guest is a medium, grief reliever, and podcast host of Healing Grace podcast. Welcome, Candace Dalton, to the show. Thanks,
Hi, thank
Candace.
you. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. This is probably the first time I've actually got myself ready and did my hair because I think the last 2 months I've just had my hair on top of my head and I've been wearing sweatpants.
So, tell us about your background and how you get started in being a medium,
Yeah,
and
sure.
what is a medium, if you want to explain that as well.
Absolutely. So, you ready for the slowdown? It's a whole backstory if you're ready. But
We got time.
Okay, we got time. Perfect. So a medium, a lot of people get that mixed up between a medium and a psychic. And I have a lot of people that come up to me and they're like, can you read my palm? Or can you tell me what my future is going to be like? What's my love going to be like in my career? And that's not exactly my forte. I do have psychic abilities, but basically my forte is mediumship. And mediumship is the ability to be the conduit or the messenger from here to the other side. So I bring through messages and validations from your loved ones that have passed over to the other side and make it a very light atmosphere so that you can enjoy it, because grief can be a very, very fragile state. And I want it to make it a really great experience for a lot of people. So a big question a lot of people ask me is like, when did you figure out you were a medium? Or like, how long have you had it? Or when did you like actually bring this about? So going way back to when I was 7 years old, I always kind of heard voices and heard things or knew things before they happened, but I really didn't know that I had a medium ability. I just thought I was a really good guesser and that I was just like, had this big imagination, just like a 7-year-old should. And so around that age, my Auntie Pam passed away, my mom's sister. And when she passed over, I remember hearing her say, Candace, tell mom this and tell her that. And this is how I passed. And again, I thought it was my own superpower, me making it up in my head, but I also did believe in heaven and the afterlife. So I remember maybe 2 years after my aunt's passing, my mom had a surgery that she had to go under for. It was a big surgery. And she prayed to her sister and her dad, who are both in heaven, just to make sure that she made it out okay. And during her surgery, she saw her sister and her dad standing right before her. So it was one of these wild experiences. And I remember after my mom's recovery, she called my Aunt Maureen, and my Aunt Maureen's on my dad's side of the family. They're one of 9 kids, big Irish Catholic family. I feel like if you're going to be Irish Catholic, you need to have at least 5+ kids. So, anyways, I remember being really curious as to why my mom was just telling my Aunt Maureen about this experience that she had. And she ended up saying, Candace, well, Auntie Maureen's a medium. And I was like 8, 9 years old at this point. And I was like, what's a medium? And she's like, well, she can connect to the other side. And I just remember light bulbs going off. And like, I knew our family was mental, but I didn't know we were this mental. So it was so validating knowing that it did run through the family. So I really kept it to myself for a long time, because the thought of death and dying gave me panic attacks and anxiety attacks. And it was very debilitating. So I kind of pushed it in the way back of my mind for a while. And when I was 14, it started to come back out again. And that was after my cousin Sean passed away. And so he became a guide for me big time. And then after high school, I went to cosmetology school, where I just decided to come out of my spiritual closet and start reading people, because I didn't know where they came from and I didn't know their names. And so it was validating for me that I wasn't, one, making it up in my head, and two, like, did I already know that information? No, I didn't, because it was people I didn't know. So it was very helpful to me. So I paid $20,000 for cosmetology school just to talk to the dead, and I don't use my license at all. So yeah, that's how I really got started, was when I was around 18, 19, and now I'm 30 years old.
So your first interactions with the other side was with people in your family or in your life that were talking to you?
Yes, it was. And I also just found out a few years ago that my third grade teacher actually told me that one day in class, I said to her, I can talk to people on the other side. And she was like, oh, okay, sweetie, like didn't know what to say. So yes, I guess, and God only knows how many other things I've said. I don't really remember a lot. But yes, there was my auntie Pam that I was connecting in with. And after my cousin Sean passed, it was like, he was just such a huge guide for me that I was able to trust him, that these signs that I was receiving weren't coincidences. And especially with his passing, that was my first real big grief that I had to deal with, that it was so helpful for me to be able to help others because I can relate to that feeling of grief and that pain. And so
Yeah, so when it's happening, is it all audio? Do you see anything?
yeah, so I can connect three different ways. With hearing, which is the audio, that is clairaudience. So I can hear them almost as if you're on your cell phone, but the reception's cutting in and out. So I hear bits and pieces of what they say. I always don't hear like this godly voice or their voice particularly. It's like kind of these thoughts that butt into my head. And then I'm also able to see. So that's through my clairvoyance. And I can see your loved ones almost like when you think of a memory or a flashback. That's how I'm also seeing the other side. And through my clairsentience, I'm able to feel. So I can feel how a person passed, or I can feel their emotions and feelings as well, and things that maybe they need to say finally.
Yeah, and so as you were opening up to this gift, were you like doubting yourself, like this can't be normal, or why me? And like, how did you become to like embrace it?
Yeah. So I honestly thought I was mental. Like I thought I was crazy. I thought it was just like me again, making this all up. And I finally was able to embrace it. I'd say when I was about 18 or 19, but like when I was 14, it was still like, I told a few of my friends in high school that I could talk to my cousin Sean, that I could hear him, and I knew that he was connecting. And they told me like years later that they were like, we did not believe you because we just thought that that was your process and your way of grieving. And so we just let you just say what you had to say. But now we believe you. But yeah, so I definitely started to embrace it in my late teens. But I really had a hard time kind of understanding myself a little better. And yeah, of course, it was, when I found out that my Aunt Maureen had it, and that it also runs through my family. My dad has it, my cousin Stasha has it, my grandmother had it, her mother had it. But nobody ever told me this until after Sean died. It would have been nice. And it definitely made more sense as to why I had it and why I was experiencing it.
And is there like a theme or something that the other side tries to pass through this side, like a unfinished business? As you always hear people hang around for unfinished business, and maybe they didn't say something. I guess, what kind of messages do you hear?
Yeah. And, I like how you put that. Is there a theme? And I definitely, one of the biggest things is I have a lot of people that will come forward, especially like parents that will say, I'm sorry that I wasn't able to show you my love. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to say, actually, I love you, or hug you, or tell you I'm proud of you. And I'm sorry that I was so hard on you. I've had people come through that were, verbally abusive, that will step forward and say how sorry they are. So that's definitely a big thing that I've noticed, and a lot of people can relate to that. No family is perfect by any means, but there's definitely a lot of people experience trauma of emotional, like a lack of emotion, or they've gone through physical abuse or molestation or sexual assault. So yeah, that definitely does come forward quite a bit. That is definitely a theme for sure. And I love the other side too, because they're pretty funny, and they'll instantly have me either smell cigarettes or have me smell marijuana or alcohol, something they love to do while they're here that I feel like they're still doing on the other side.
Have you ever, I guess, what's your experiences like? Is it mainly positive, or are they more like unstable, where they're angry or emotional? Or are they more put together?
Yeah. So the other side, once you leave this earthly life here and you go to the other side, there is no such thing as hate or jealousy or financial issues or pains or traumas. All of those emotions and those feelings truly just release from us. And heaven is just a major vibration of just love. And so when they get to the other side, they're able to, really just come from a place of love, so this is my best way of describing it. When a baby is born, they only know love. They only know love. There's no stress, there's no fears, there's no this or that. They just know love. And so it's reverting back to that kind of rebirth. And so a lot of readings that I do, I only allow good energy to come forward. So for somebody that may have not been very, very good to you here, that may have really hurt you, I'm really good at being like, yeah, the door's over there, goodbye. So I make it very light and comfortable for the person here who's receiving the reading, but never anything negative, of somebody being like, fuck you, or sorry if you don't do swears, but that kind of thing. All love. And I want to people to realize that the others, your loved ones do evolve and they learn. And one of the biggest things that we get to experience when we leave this earthly life and go to the heaven side is that we get to review our life and we get to see what we did that was so great here and what we made a difference doing. And we also get to experience other people's emotions and feelings that we may have hurt intentionally or unintentionally. We get to experience that and learn from it. So my thing is, people always ask, do you get negative energies that come through? And it's like, no, because I have a boundary where I don't allow negative energy to come forward, just the highest and the best energy.
Okay. And is it a portal in you? Is it like, or do you have a separate energy that's attached to you that communicates with them? Is it, I guess,
Yeah, so
where does that communication happen at? Is it in the real
right.
world or the spiritual world?
Yeah, so it happens, it's like a meeting point for me. So before reading, I do like a really deep meditation to raise my vibration, open my third eye and my crown chakra, and start to and connect to the other side. And the best way for me to describe it to people is, if you've had a few drinks, you feel that kind of buzzy feeling where you feel like you're on a different element or a different planet. Or if you smoke a lot of weed, you just feel like you're on another dimension, right? You just feel like more relaxed. It's kind of like you don't feel like you're really here, but you're here. So when I connect to the other side, it is this this open energy, this open channel. And again, great word, open portal, where I am opening myself up. So if you imagine a telephone booth in like London, it's like the telephone booth lights up and that's me, and they all come piling into that. So yeah, it's a really weird experience for sure. And during readings, I feel like really high or really buzzed, where I'm like, whoa, but it takes a while to come down from it afterwards.
Yeah, that's so interesting to hear that, because it's like, I don't know if you have any stats on like how many people out of how many or can have that gift that you have, but I'm sure it's like one in millions or something.
You'd actually be surprised how many people do have it, but one, they don't realize it, or they think that they're like a psychic, but then they're actually bringing through messages, which is the mediumship. So I think that we're all born obviously with intuition. Everyone has intuition, and that's a beautiful gift to have. It guides us, but as humans and as life happens, we start to steer away from our intuition. So I think a lot of people steer away from their spiritual side, which is their intuition, their connection to God in the afterlife. And you'd be surprised, once I have people join me, which I've had in the past, or I've had classes, like, I'm just here because I don't know if I do have it, if I'm making it up, or if I really do have this, I want to be able to learn how to do it. And people blow me away when they start to connect. It's like, wow, there you go. Like, you have this. It's just kind of finding it and picking it up. So a lot of people have the psychic sense for sure. And the intuition strong, can open up your third eye and be super strong with your psychic side, but not everybody's a medium. Everyone can have the psychic ability, but not every psychic is a medium. If you're a medium, you definitely have the psychic ability. So it's pretty interesting. There's a lot of people who are hiding in their spiritual closet. So
Mhm.
I like to help them out of that and to not feel judged. And I think that now that we're growing as a universe and we're evolving, I think people are actually allowing themselves to come out of their spiritual closet because it's becoming more accepting now.
Yeah, I would agree. I think people are almost scared of their intuition, or they try to drown it out with stuff like they have to be around people because they can't be with themselves, or like they have their own voice going and they don't want to hear it. And so how do you lean into that and really amplify your intuition and hear and feel that side of yourself better?
Yeah. So one of the hardest things is having to let my own ego go, because our ego is like, I want to be able to give them the best and I want to be able to connect and I want it to be amazing. And I am such a people pleaser. I love to make people feel good. And so the first thing I have to do is let my ego go and kind of surrender and say that I'm here to work for spirit. And to get into that energy, I have to really deeply meditate, let go of everything that's happened for my day, realign my chakra system. I call upon my angels. I do my own little prayers, and I'll sage the house. I'll relax it. I have to it takes me a couple hours to get ready for an event. So it does take some practice. People, I love analogies. So I tell people, if you go to the gym one time, you're not going to walk out with the ass and abs and the arms that you've been waiting for. You have to consistently work at it to get the results. So the meditating is so important, and finding a meditation, and not just the kind where you can just like lay there and close your eyes, because that's not for everybody. Something that's going to keep you feeling grounded and connected. And I've done a lot of learning and experiencing and learning under other mediums as well. So it definitely takes me a little time to get there. And there's other times, like right before an event, I'm like, I'm not feeling anything. Oh my God. I'm like, no, I don't even feel like one little ounce of buzz right now. Like, are they even going to come through? That's a question people ask me a lot. Like, has nobody ever come through before? And it's like, as a human, we go through our own experiences where I've had troubles happen right before an event and I'm like totally discombobulated. And I have to just like simmer myself down and surrender myself to spirit and be like, okay, I'm here. I'm the messenger for you. Whatever you need to say, like speak through me and show me everything clearly so that I can help you. So yeah, it definitely can take me some time to get there, and also can make me feel nervous, like as a human, like, oh my God, are they going to come through? But they always do.
Wow, that's so interesting. What does your meditation practice look like?
Yeah. So my meditation practice looks like, first I have to go take a shower. Like that's just always it. I have to cleanse my physical body, make sure my hair's done, my makeup's done, so I don't have to think about it, if especially before doing a reading or an event. Once everything's done here, then I can just kind of relax, know that my space is set up. Once I do that, I do lay in bed and I get comfortable and I throw my blanket on me and I put on some music, light some sage, and sometimes I'll work with crystals where I'll have them with me. But my meditation looks like beginning to ground myself into Mother Earth and imagining that I am like this strong tree. And then I start to work through the chakra system. And so the chakra system is 7 different energy points along the body. And each chakra pertains to different energies. So for instance, we have our root chakra, which is at the base of our spine, and it is a red color. So I imagine breathing up that red color and getting it in working in a clockwise rotation so I know that it's moving and the energy's flowing. So I do this with every single chakra on my body. And then after that, I call upon, I thank God and the universe for my gift, call upon Archangel Michael to protect me, call upon my angels, my loved ones that have passed over on the other side, to also protect me and be there for me. And from there, it takes me about like a good 15 minutes to feel like settled in. And I do it 15 minutes before a reading so that I'm ready to go on that spot. So I don't do any meditating like the day before or anything like that, because I feel like it's almost opening the door for me to the other side. I don't want that yet. I want to sleep. So yeah, it's a practice that I've been doing for the last 11 years now.
And is that something that somebody taught you or you just found online? How
So
did you start with that practice?
yeah, so I never knew about the chakra system until my Aunt Maureen taught me about it. And I ended up joining in on one of her classes, learning about the chakra systems, and the meditation that she did was so powerful. So I always kept that with me. I'm also right now learning about Tantric Buddhism yoga, which is kind of reversing and going back into history of how the modern chakra system right now has been, modernized. So I'm learning about really where the chakra system originated from, and that these colors that I was talking about doesn't pertain to the history that goes way back. So it's really interesting because this is something that I've always based my meditations on, and now I'm learning where the original chakra system began and learning that way. So it's been really conflicting but also amazing. So yeah, I learned the chakra system from my Aunt Maureen, and then I just kind of did my own practices of praying. I'm not religious of any sort, but I do my own praying just to kind of feel protected and feel good and whatnot. So
yeah, so it's like you adapted the practice to your own needs. So
yes,
whatever
exactly.
works,
Absolutely. And I have to be really good about like the night before a reading. I can't drink alcohol because it can really cloud my energy the next day. So I'm sure a lot of people have felt this feeling of a hangover. It's not fun, and there's no way that I could talk to the dead if I'm hungover.
Yeah, I don't want to do anything when I'm hungover.
Exactly. Just want to sleep and eat like greasy foods.
Right. And you mentioned it for a second where you said you're not really that religious, but you kind of have some religious practices or prayers. Would you say anything that you do is religious or relates to religion? Like if you see people, do you see them in like heaven or hell, or where are they at? Um,
Yeah,
can
good
you talk
question.
about that?
Yeah. So for me, my mom is Jewish. My dad's side's Catholic. They never brought us up with either religion. They taught us things like my mom taught us about Judaism, and we celebrated Hanukkah and the high holidays. And my dad just never followed through with Catholicism, but my grandmother, super Catholic. So, obviously also spent the high holidays together, but I don't know anything. I truly don't know anything. Like there's stories that my boyfriend will tell me about the Bible. He's like, about this and that? I'm like, no. So I never grew up with a religion per se, but when I connect in with the other side, I do believe in God. I do believe that some type of creator created this amazing universe that is just like so mind-blowing. So I will kind of relate to that and my own prayers too. I also believe in the archangels. So I call upon Archangel Michael, and my grandmother would always say, Saint Raphael, go with you whenever we left her home. And it just felt so protecting and special to me and filled with love. And so I do really believe in the archangels for sure. So, but I don't pull in anything particular with like, a particular prayer or any type of religious sayings or meanings. I don't really go there. I will call upon Kuan Yin, who is an amazing angel as well. But it's pretty what do I want to use for this word? Not religious. It's just more spiritual to me, for sure.
Right. And what about your interactions with the other side? What have you seen with those interactions? Has anyone ever said like, "Oh, it's really hot down here"?
That's awesome. I totally forgot you asked that question. Like in my head, I was like, what else did he ask me? But
Yeah.
yes. for me, I personally, and I respect anybody's religions, my personal opinion is I don't believe in hell. I believe that there are many different levels of heaven. So if you were a shitty person here and you did some nasty stuff, you're going to be in the lowest level here. And it's not like you're going to be, I don't believe in torture. I believe that this is a time for God and for the angels to help evolve this spirit, evolve this person, this soul into a better human being so that they can try again and come back to this earthly life. I believe in reincarnation. I believe in coming back to this life. This earth journey that we're on, I believe there is hell on earth. I mean, especially what we're experiencing right now with this movement, there are people who are being killed. There are people who are, being screamed at or treated wrongly because of the color of their skin. There's people who have financial issues. People are going through illness at such a young age and dying. It's like, those are the hellish parts that we experience here. And it evolves us as people. So I don't believe in a particular hell where people are being tortured and you're in this horrific place. I believe that this is our chance to learn and be better humans and be better souls here. So when I see somebody here walking along this earthly life, I can tell if they're like a newer spirit, a newer soul, where they just kind of are super naive, so like just don't think about other people and they're just about themselves. And then I see other people where I'm like, you're an old soul. I can just feel it, where you're just like you are very much, I can tell, an old soul. You're sensitive, you think of others, you're just like to yourself, and you're humble, where you feel like you've been on this earthly life before. You don't sweat the small stuff kind of thing. So that's where I can see energetically if somebody's kind of more new here or if they're an old soul.
Wow, that's so interesting. So is there certain things that you look at, or is it just like a general vibe or energy?
Yeah, so like, have you ever gone to like, a party, you don't really know people, but you gravitate towards some people. You're like, oh, all right, they're cool. Like I feel like they connect with me, or I can connect with them, or I can feel like myself around them. Or
Yeah.
you meet somebody, you're like, have we known each other forever? Because it feels that way. So it is that vibe. It's that intuition feeling. And everybody has that same exact feeling. You can just tell when somebody's just got some weird vibes and you got some really great vibes.
Yeah, that's true. So
Yeah.
how long have you been doing your podcast?
My podcast, so I launched it in July of 2018, and it was crazy because I moved out to Los Angeles in the end of 2017, and then maybe like 2 or 3 months later, I met up with one of my friends, Jackie, who lives out here, and I actually went on to the Ricky Lake show when I was 23.
Oh,
Flew out
wow.
with my family. Yep, my Aunt Maureen, my cousin Stasha, my Auntie Rosie, and we had the opportunity of being on an episode with Ricky Lake. And so during that, Jackie was actually working on set of Ricky Lake, and we just always stayed in touch. She was awesome. She was also from Boston. We just kind of totally connected.
Was it a
My
show about
family's from Boston.
mediums?
Yeah, it was. It was about mediums and a family that has a bunch of gifts, and so we were that
Mhm.
family. And but I'm originally from Boston, Massachusetts, and my this woman Jackie was also from Boston, so we just really connected. So when I moved out here, she's like, let's meet up for lunch and like let's catch up. So we caught up, and she said, yeah, I'm going to be doing an online podcasting course. And I was like, that's wild that you say that, because I was just saying I would love to start a podcast, but I am so not tech savvy at all that, like, if I look at something, I kind of like, okay, give up, and I'm not going to do it. So I took her podcast course, and it was incredible. And it helped me understand things better, getting ready for the show, and also technologically, I don't even know if that's the word I'm trying to use.
Right.
Technology wise, she helped me. And so, yeah, July 2018, I started it, and I'm still doing it to this day. I just finished season 3, and I do 20 episodes per season. So it's been pretty awesome. And I think I'm almost at 80,000 downloads that I've had since the start. So it's pretty awesome.
Right. And you have 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. So that's
Yes.
great.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I know it's been really humbling to know that people really enjoy it and giving me 5 stars. So that's awesome.
Yeah. So do you have a theme for your show? Does it follow a certain guideline? Is it you talking or interviews?
It's a bunch
Is
of
it all
different.
about mediums? Give us
Yeah,
the lowdown on.
on what it's all about. So
Yeah.
a bunch of different stuff. So I'm such an open book, and I'm a very curious person. So I always love learning about different people. So all of my podcast, I bring people from all walks of life that have experienced all different types of grief. So a car accident is very different from suicide, whereas cancer is very different from like an overdose. So I have had many people come on and talk so that they can relate to people all around the world. I've also brought on people who have explain what numerology is about and feng shui. And I recently just recorded an episode with this amazing human, Master Ming Tong, about Qigong and how you can move energy out of your body. I am getting in touch with somebody who did like forensic science where they did autopsies. Like, I love that stuff. Like, how the frig do you do an autopsy on someone who's dead? You know what I mean? Like, how
Yeah.
do you figure out what happened to them if, like, they're found dead? How do you figure out that it's a stroke, or how did you figure out it was a heart attack? That kind of stuff. So it is a whole range of different things, and yeah, I really enjoy it. And also I have 2 meditations that I put on there, so it's just a wide range of anything spiritual, anything that connects to the afterlife, and so on. So
And I also see you have online healing messages.
yes, I do.
Or um,
I
what are those?
Yeah, so what was it? Maybe like, so I moved out to Los Angeles, and my kind of database of people, my supporters, are all out in Boston. So when I was in California, I'm like, well, I can't go back to Boston every month. Like, that's just going to be insane. So I started Zoom online events, and they're limited to 25 people, and I'm still able to bring through your loved ones. My way of connecting to the other side is mostly seeing, my clairvoyance. So I can see you right now, and that's how I'm able to like start to bring in through people and connect that way. So I actually just set one up for this upcoming Sunday, and I do a couple times a month where I do the Zoom events. So people from all around the world have joined in, and all over the country, and it's pretty fun.
So it would be like you're reaching the medium through someone I know, and then other people are watching it happen.
Yeah. So there's like 25 strangers. They're all hanging out. They all see each other. And I don't get to every individual, but I get to as many people as possible. So it's an experience and witness type event.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. So if I were to read 25 people a night, I'd be dead. So
Yeah.
I will end up saying, like, there's a Sue in the room, and I call on Sue, and I bring through her mom and her dad, maybe her brother, and whoever else comes forward. All those people are watching me read her. And then I move on to the next person. And it's pretty cool, watching people. And there's such lovely people that are in there that you see them crying for the other person who they don't even know who it is. And they just are like, empathetic. And it's really cool, to see people come together from, again, all walks of life, and that they definitely are all there for the same reasons. And it doesn't matter what your skin color is, doesn't matter the sex, the race, doesn't matter. Everyone's there for grief relief.
Yeah, that's great that you've been able to adapt, and your gift is still able to reach people even through the internet, when a lot of the face-to-face meetings and businesses have really taken a hit through the coronavirus.
I know, I've been very lucky. I'm like, oh my God, well, thank God I was doing this in advance, so that I'm already kind of like, it was almost like a setup, like for a whole year I was doing, Zoom calls, and then all of this happened, and it was just so perfect. Now people can still receive their messages without leaving their homes.
Yeah, I mean, so is this something that um, that you can live off of? Are you getting or do you have another job, or I guess what is it, financially stable? I don't know.
Yeah, no, great question. Yeah, this is my only job. I was a hairstylist for a very short time, but I wasn't very good at it. And when I was 19, I started doing, like, I'd say 18, I started doing private readings. It was 1 to 2 people. Then it moved on to doing house parties where I was driving to people's homes all over Massachusetts. of like 8 to 10 people. And then I moved on to doing shows of 50 to 150 people, and fundraisers and so on. Then I stopped doing fundraisers once I moved out to California. And so I do go back to Boston normally, like every 6-7 weeks. Then I will go and do like 3 or 4 events in about a week, 10 days time. But yeah, it is financially stable for me. And it's taken a lot of hard work though, where I've had to, I hate to use the word prove myself because that's ego, but gain people's trust, I'd say. And good word has spread throughout the last 10, 11 years. And this has been my job.
Yeah, that's great. And I can see your energy and passion. So I think it's, just attracting the people to you is
Thank you.
what you're doing. So you're getting your message out there, and I'm definitely interested in the online healing session messages. It sounds very entertaining. So do you ever publish those on like YouTube for other people to watch, or do mainly people want to keep that private?
So I'm really good at, there's been times where I've done audio recording so I could have it on my podcast, so people can experience like hearing the readings and whatnot. But I try my best to not do video recordings. I think it freaks people out, and especially if they're 1, skeptic, or 2, they're doing it privately and like their family doesn't know because maybe their family's religious, so they don't believe in this stuff, or their husband or wife doesn't know. Like they just want to be able to experience it. So I try my best to keep it pretty private for them so that they don't feel turned off by joining me, because that's more of like, my goal is to just let them be able to join in without feeling any judgment.
Right. It's very personal.
Yeah, it is. And there is, spirit on the other side. They're very good about, if I'm in a big group reading, they won't bring up something that's like, super maybe private to them, where it might be like, sexual assault or things that have been happening in their life. And so I can tell, like I'll kind of give them a wink, like I know what you're going through, and I won't say it, but I can hear it from your loved ones, and it kind of gives them a So I wouldn't want their stuff out on the internet, especially if they have gone through some heavy stuff.
Is there one experience that stands out that's like interesting or funny that you could share?
Oh boy. Okay. Let me think back to my database of a bunch of people. One thing that sticks out to me always is bringing through a young woman named Jennifer, who was on one of the flights that was in 9/11. That was intense and like, whoa. And I will never, ever, ever forget that. That's for sure. I've had some really funny people come through from the other side, where I remember I was reading this woman and her sister, and the dad came through and was like, what the fuck? Like, why did you buy a coffin and then burn me in it? Like, cremate me. Like, you burned me in the coffin. It cost you like $10,000. Where he was just like obviously busting their balls, but they're like, we know, I know, we just weren't thinking. That's come forward. I've also had some just really amazing, readings where I've also been able to give people information on somebody who's been missing, what happened to them, that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's been pretty cool. And I'm trying to think of like a one that sticks out to me. There's just so many that I kind of leave it out of my mind because there's just so many things. My brain does not hold a lot of memory space. So I'm trying to think of something really significant for you that I can talk about. I'm trying to think of a recent reading. Oh my God, let me think here. I wish I had one on the top of my head, but I don't want to keep you waiting. But
no worries. How many do you think you've done? How many people do you think you've connected with on the other side?
Thousands. I can't even imagine how many. I don't know how many people individually I've read, definitely in the thousands. I've brought through thousands of spirits on the other side for sure. Because there's been readings where just in one person, there's 3 or 4 people that have passed that have just snuck in and said hi. So it's kind of crazy. I wish I had a number, but I've definitely done quite a few events. I'd probably say in the last 10 years, I've done like 700 events.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I think back to it now and I'm like, want to just like croak. So draining. It's amazing, but man, is it taxing on the body.
Right. Because I mean, for when you're channeling the girl from the 9/11 crash, if we want to dig into that a little more, just because it's very extreme example, are you feeling like her energy, her emotions, is that going through you and then you got to kind of keep it together? Or
Yeah, I mean, for sure, like before any reading, and that's when I call upon Archangel Michael to protect me from any emotions and feelings that don't serve me. But I think because it was so kind of more personal, it like struck me. And so with her, when I was bringing her through, it was to her mother. And, the Jennifer was telling me that she was with her boyfriend. They were heading to California to go to Hawaii. And I don't remember if they were newly engaged or if he was going to propose. I can't remember. I don't know if that's mixing me up. I'm mixing that up with another story. But also that she kind of was like remaining as calm as possible, but didn't feel the impact, like didn't experience it. It's almost like right before that experience begins, it's like they're swooped up into heaven, so that they don't feel that or experience it.
gosh, it's
I've
so
gone through a
sad.
lot of things. It is. It's very sad. And I've also had, those who have been in car accidents, or like suicides where it's gunshot. It's like that was so fast I didn't experience it. And they don't want, spirit on the other side, your loved ones don't want you to replay that in your mind, that as if they experienced it, because they're like, we didn't experience it. We don't want you to feel that. And there's been also, after the Boston Marathon bombings, I had little Martin Richard come forward during a fundraiser event, and that was the first and only time I've ever cried my eyes out during a reading, because it was
Oh
so new.
gosh.
Yeah, it was so new, and I'm from Boston, and it was just so devastating. But he started to explain his room and what it looked like, and that he had shelves and shelves of trains and this and that, and the person was able to confirm all that. And so pretty wild. But those have been some ones that definitely stick out to me for sure.
Yeah, and when you're talking to these people, do they come through as like the age they passed, or is it like their favorite age?
Yeah, that's a great question. So if for instance, if somebody's lost a child at like 3 years old, the spirit on the other side, like they'll show me like little boy or little girl, because that's how the person here remembers them. And then there's times where I do see like an older gentleman, like, do you understand somebody who's like 30 years old coming forward? And they're like, no. So I ask them to be a little bit more clear and give me more validation. And they'll say like drowning and I was young and this and that. So I'm like, oh, they might be 30 years old now, but they're showing me that they were young when they drowned. And they're like, yes. But most of
Okay.
the time they'll show me what their age is. But this is just the physical body, and we keep a number for this physical body for how long we've been here. But the other side, they do grow with you. So my cousin Sean died when he was 19 years old, and yesterday was his birthday, and he would have been 36 in the physical form. But we continue to say, like, he's 36. He has grown as a spirit. He has evolved with us. They don't stay behind after they
Mhm.
die. They move forward with us.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And the people, do you need a loved one there to channel the person? Could you channel a person without the loved one?
It's when I'm like at home and I'm just chilling, like there's no dead people around me. But yes, I need the person in front of me. I don't do I can't do phone readings because I physically, like, I need to see the person, and that's when I start to see energy of male, female, and things that have happened, and that's when I start to connect. So yeah, I do need them in front of me.
Yeah, I just think it's so interesting. I have so many questions because it's a foreign world to me. I've never been to a medium or done that. I know Erica has done that, and she talked to her grandma on the other side who passed.
That's so
And
nice.
then she told her to look out for feathers because feathers mean that she was watching over her.
That's
And
great.
so she's always saw that as a sign of like, love and warmth, and
Yeah.
so
Give her peace of knowing that her grandmother's still there with her, and it gives her like a validation that she's okay too. It's funny, like when I'm really good about keeping it off when I need it off, but sometimes when I talk about mediumship and it's totally fine, I'll start to like it's almost like they're like, oh, Candace is on, let's go. And I'm like, no, we're just talking about it. But when you came on here, it was like an immediate male that was right next to you too, so it was really strong, like a grandfather that was trying to connect in, that's been gone for some time, but I feel like you had a close connection with him, and that there might have been another grandfather, but not as close as this one, that might be sneaking in. So definitely you have a grandmother that's passed as well, correct?
yeah, my grandfather and grandmother, they were married.
They're here, they're definitely here, and I feel like you are just so special to them. So like I said, I don't always love to just dive into a reading because I like to be all suited up for it so I can give you my best, but I just have to like kind of say that too, that your grandmother and your grandfather are here. Your grandfather is like right behind you, and I feel like he's making sure that you're allowing yourself to be as you are, and so your
Wow.
dad are both still living, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And now, is this your mom's side of the family, the
It's my
grandparents?
dad's side.
Yeah, sometimes I always get screwed up. I don't know who's who and who belongs to who, but I feel that there is that special relationship that you do have with, your grandparents there. So,
Yeah,
um, is there one that had any issues? I almost feel like I'm having like a hard time walking, but I also feel like I'm having lung issues as well.
mm-hmm.
Is that too?
Yeah, she was a big smoker, and she actually had influenza, and that was a big part of
For passing.
her passing. Uh-huh.
So you
That's
have to know that
amazing.
your grandmother's kind of giving me this validation, like, because I feel like your grandfather's here, but as soon as your grandmother came in, it's almost like she booted your grandfather out because she wants to be like she's the one that wears the pants, basically. And so I feel like she'd be the speaker for the both of them. But she's just validating who's talking here. So she showed me her way of passing. She was a big smoker, had influenza, and that's how she, ended up passing over. So this will be awesome. Maybe your dad doesn't believe in this stuff, and that's totally okay. Maybe it's hard to have those conversations with your dad, but that's where you can like kind of let them know, like the red cardinal or seeing like a butterfly as a signal from your grandmother of like, hey, I'm right here. So do you have another brother? You have a brother as well, or one other sibling?
I have two brothers.
Two brothers. Well, one of them they're pointing to. I don't. Who's in the middle?
Jacob,
Okay.
he's
So
my middle brother.
yep. So we're just sending a little extra love to him. So that when they mention a living name, it doesn't mean anything bad. It just means
Mm-hmm.
that they are shouting out to them, saying hello, because of course they want to say hi. Or if Jacob's going through a little stuff right now, that they're giving him a little direction,
Mm-hmm.
and that they would reach out to that. So for 100%. And I feel like, that's like your grandmother just saying like, just tell him, just tell him. So
Yeah.
an anniversary or birthday that just passed in April as well that you can think of? I know you're kind of like, I just threw this on you. Sorry.
Yeah.
They do.
I'm
But they
talking to
do.
my dead grandparents on the air.
They came in noise violation. So they just get to have a free pass because you're their grandson. So just keep that in mind for a moment. But also, one other thing, I don't feel that you've experienced a lot of passings in your life, which is amazing.
Yeah, those are
Very,
pretty
very
much it, those two.
Yeah, I think it's very fortunate. So I feel like you need to know that your grandmother's still running the show on the other side while your grandfather just kind of like sits there and rolls his eyes like, oh my God, He's very
Uh,
much a gentleman though too. And did he drink himself? Was he a drinker?
not that I know of,
Okay.
really, but he had a heart attack.
Wow.
Um,
Very young.
so
Very young, it feels like.
yeah,
So
I was a lot younger when he passed.
mhm.
And so I had a better relationship with my grandma, but
Yeah, yeah. And that's why she's just butting right in, because you really do have this connection to her. And she's, very intelligent and very, like, she's very, like, kind of cut and dry. Like, this is how it's going to
oh
go. If you
yeah.
don't like that. Now, she's not from the South. Is she more from the North?
New York.
Okay, because
Hmm.
she's showing me north. I'm not from the south. Go up, go up. So that makes sense. I feel like she's totally a New Yorker, and she's got some character and personality to her that I really like. So she's a no bullshit lady, and I feel like she can be tough on people. So I think she is giving a lot of love to your mom too. Maybe she was a pain in the ass at some point, your grandmother to her, and they got to learn to love each other. But it feels good. So I just wanted you to know that they are very much here. And your grandmother, I feel like she doesn't know what no means. And that
Yeah.
she likes to just butt on in. She's really cute. She's adorable and she's very well put together. And I feel like she's dressed up for me. And just needs you to know that she's not how she looked before her passing, and that she feels good, and maybe you can give some love to your dad for this. And again, he might not believe in any of this, and that's totally fine. But just wanted to say hi from your grandparents really quickly.
Yeah, that's amazing, and I really appreciate you being there and sharing this moment.
Sure. Yeah. It's fun when somebody's never experienced it before. You just kind of want to give a little something. Like, I can't ever imagine, like, me personally, I've had a lot of really tragic loss in my life. And I'm thankful for what I have, the tools I have, so that I can get myself through. That's what I want to spread to other people, that they really are okay on the other side, that they're safe and everything's good. And, but yeah, you're not from New York originally, are you?
No, I'm from Austin, Texas.
You are from
So
Austin.
they moved down here, and then I was born here.
Wow, so awesome. So cool. So yeah, she's just, I feel like, showing me she's back up in New York doing her thing and whatnot. So, and there was also an N name, like Nancy, or an N name for female, that they might be making a shout out to the living, or they're mentioning who's on the other side with them. But do you know who the N name might be?
And
I'm putting you on the spot. So just keep it in mind.
yeah, I'll have to think about it. I'm not sure right now.
Yep, no problem. So just see, you never know. And like I said, I'm not in my full state right now, so I'm not able to give like full on
Yeah,
detail because I'm
she
just not.
just butted right through.
Yeah, she's just like, get out
She
of my
wanted to.
way. I'm coming in. This is my opportunity,
It's
So
about time you talk to a medium.
she's like, I'm pulling off the cobwebs off of me. I think she's pretty funny.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So hello from your grandparents.
That's awesome, Candace. And I just want to thank you and acknowledge you for everything that you're doing and giving people relief and, a smile to their face. Just that moment I had with my grandma is like all the memories came rushing back. And it feels great to know that they're still there. And there's people like you that can connect with that energy and to share that with people when they really need it and need an outlet. I just want to thank you for what you're doing and acknowledge you for that.
Thank you so much. That is so kind. And I appreciate you having me on here. I love what you're doing too, and just bringing on, again, all walks of life and what they do. And I love your curiosity and I love your openness, even though you've never experienced a medium yourself. You're like, yeah, let's do this. So I appreciate it so much. And you're just a lovely person and really easy to chat with. And, I think that a lot of people need to know about noise violation. So I'll make sure to share on my social media when it comes out.
Fantastic. And can you share where's the best place to find you at?
Yeah, so my Instagram is Healing Grace, the podcast, and my Facebook page is facebook.com/medium, Candace Dalton, and Candace is Candace, and my website is CandaceDalton.com.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been awesome.